Hi everyone, I'm Yuyutsu, and I'm here today to celebrate a really exciting milestone for Team Spirit and our mods. Today, March 13th, 2026, marks the 10-year anniversary of the creation of the Spirit mod, which we now know as Spirit Classic. Even just saying that out loud is crazy. The mod has come such a long way since my first message on the Terraria community forums. I threw some recolors against the wall in 8th grade and hoped that people far more talented than me would help bring my little project to reality. I'm lucky that I found those people over the years, and that I still have the privilege of working with the best modders in the community even now. I want to take some time today to tell you a little bit about Spirit, the team behind it, and hear what they have to say about Spirit's 10-year anniversary as well. I'll also share a little about our upcoming Scarabeus update. Let's dive in and celebrate 10 years of Spirit together. Like I said earlier, I started on Spirit with no real experience in programming or artwork. Tmodloader itself was relatively new, and its modding scene was quite young. Initially, my strategy was just to talk as much as I could over on the Terraria community forums and find people who could actually create art and program the ideas I had, which were kind of boring and basic, but they got people interested. Spirit's forum page quickly became a hub for people to share ideas, art, and more to the growing mod. Admittedly, we were overpromising at the time, but we eventually got to work on the code, and Spirit Classic released to the public in 2017. Spirit's come a long way since then. In 2019, after a break, I began the process of revamping the mod because so much of its content had already started to feel old. Along the way, I was joined by the majority of the current Team Spirit, who helped me take a mediocre project and move it in the right direction. You may remember our World Beyond update for Classic in 2020, which is where I feel the mod and the team hit their stride. Since then, we've constantly pushed ourselves to deliver the highest quality mod possible. A little after the World Beyond update, we actually released this video, where we celebrated Spirit's 5-year anniversary. That genuinely feels like yesterday, in no small part because I spent a couple of years away from the modding scene. I can't thank the rest of the team enough for continuing to develop and improve Spirit while I was away. When I returned, the team had already started working on what felt like a radical idea: Spirit Reforged. I caught a ride on that train, and the rest is history. That's enough about me though. I'm mostly here to gush about our team. Every member of Team Spirit is so incredibly talented. I genuinely look forward to working and talking with everyone each morning. I say this to my team a lot, but I'm truly honored to be developing this project alongside you all. Thank you all so much for everything you do for Spirit. Now, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about each of our team members and share some behind the scenes of our process. I've asked each developer to write about Spirit's 10th anniversary and all the work we've done, and I'll be reading their responses out. Let's hear what they have to say. Our first quote comes from GabeHasWon, a programmer with Team Spirit. Gabe's been around since December of 2020, and the addition they've made that they wanted to highlight were the ocean changes. They said, "Most of the ocean changes were programmed by me. Ignoring how sketchy the water transparency was at the time, it was still so cool, and it changed the way I approach environmental design quite heavily. If you want something specific, Yuyutsu, the kelp. The kelp is cool, and I like how I programmed it." Okay. I read that out word for word, by the way, including the note they left for me. But here's their quote overall. "To be honest, it's crazy that I've had some connection to this mod and this team since it started in 2016. Apparently, I was there when it was made. I had left the community around 2018 and returned largely due to one mod, the Spirit mod. Weird how it works, huh? Now, we're doing stuff that I think would leave most indie studios envious, with a work ethic, organization style, and pace that would put some larger studios to shame. As a developer, it's nice to have people you can trust to pitch realistically anything, and for so many people to go, yeah, that can probably be done. You want like 50 frames for an ostrich? Fine with us. You want truly one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life made into a kite? Sure. You want the Overseer? Don't be dumb. It's awesome, and it's made me a much better developer." Our next quote comes from Battlebee, an amazing artist who joined in September of 2024, though they've been a huge part of the Spirit community for years before. Their favorite contributions include these little glowing mushroom housepots, Jerboa visuals, and tiny dragon animations, though those last two are spoilers. I'll give you a sneak peek anyway. Here's their quote. "I was supposed to do all the critter cages, but I just keep putting them off. I'm the reason you don't have a sandpiper cage yet." And then, in parentheses, inconsolable. Don't worry, we'll have you those cages soon. Thanks so much, Battlebee. Our next quote comes from Naom, another artist for the project. Now, Naom isn't sure when they joined, and I'm not sure either because they've been around a long time. But we'll just say 2020. Here's what they have to say. "Nowadays, I mostly help out with extra feedback and smaller tasks due to time constraints. However, I still try to keep up and work on the mod whenever time permits. I think the passion shared between all of us really shows that despite us all moving forward in life, we're still here trying our best to keep this wonderful project going strong with what I would say is a very different approach to modding in this community, which, in my opinion, lets us bring a vision fresher than most mods out there. Many of us actually have game dev jobs now, and having this nice little sandbox where we can pour our combined vision into is something very healthy for many of us, I believe. Happy 10th anniversary, everyone. I'll make all of you coffee. I'm holding you to that now. Thank you for all the work you've done over the years." Next, I'd like to take some time to highlight our amazing musicians at Team Spirit, and we can't start with anyone except for Salvati themselves. Salvati joined me all the way back in August 2018, and their favorite contribution is the Starplate Voyager boss theme. Here's what they have to say. "Firstly, I joined Jiu-Jitsu back in August 2018 when I was 15 to work on various weathers, while he was taking a break from working on Spirit. Spirit was the first time I worked on a project that wasn't my own, and I felt the energy. The way everyone works together and depends on each other to create is incredible. Secondly, the opportunities that working on this mod has opened for me, the people I've met, the experiences I've had, I will always be grateful for. Talking to Scott Lloyd Shelley and even showing him some of the mod's music was so effing cool. I also love Terraria music. The amount of people who message me, even still, wondering about how to recreate sounds from Terraria on their own. I think it represents something so special that the community really needs. I feel like Spirit kinda served as some sort of proof that we can do it too. We can extend this game, via music, sprites, gameplay concepts, visual scripting even. Terraria is something of a blank slate for all of us to approach. Staying true to its concepts and ideas has been super grounding for me personally. Here's to many more years of Spirit, the great times, and the times where there's no activity in the dev server for a month. All in good faith. I love you, Team Spirit. Never change. Shout out Sbubby, the GOAT. And let's see what Sbubby has to say next. Sbubby joined in July 2021, and their favorite contribution is as follows. As a musician, my favorite contribution here has to be the Lava Cavern theme. The way it organically slots into vanilla Terraria is special. It's a song I've wanted to hear since before joining Team Spirit, and before I even started making music. Here's their quote. I started picking up my composing journey by collaborating with Salvati on Spirit Classic. The Corruption Night theme was practically my starting point. It led me down a path of creating scores to many wonderful projects. But despite that, there's something truly special about Team Spirit's work ethic and community that has kept me here. Spirit Classic, and especially Reforged, have a profound understanding of what makes Terraria special. The A World Beyond trailer for Classic had me more hyped than some actual long-awaited Terraria updates like Journey's End. I wholeheartedly believe they will do great things in the future, and I hope to continue contributing to the musical landscape of Spirit Reforged and whatever comes afterwards. Thank you, Jiu-Jitsu, for sticking with the Spirit mod for an entire decade. Thank you, Sbubby. And we certainly can't leave out our newest addition to the amazing sound team, Moonburn. Moonburn joined in April of 2024. Her favorite contribution as follows. Of all the little things to be excited about, elephant grass was one of my favorites out of the minor audio details I've added. It is not often I get the privilege of working with a team that expresses the level of passion I aspire to with content of my own. With such powerful attention to detail across all creative mediums, it's no miracle that everything gets done around here quickly, efficiently, and at a hefty quality standard. My goal is to uphold this standard through sound design, which I often find to be the missing link across much Terraria content. I'm just totally addicted to how it all springs to life once the right sounds are in place. And it's just incredible to work with people who bend to my absurd audio-related demands. Next, I'd like to highlight Gobiidiah, who's been with us since August 2019. They're an amazingly talented artist, and the notable contribution they want to highlight is this one. I enjoy my work in being the one to look after and refine details in environments, animations, and helping to make the mod feel more complete, while bringing to life environments. I make the small parts that bring things together. Here's their reflection. A lot of my work is often not front and center, even if in plain sight. I'm probably the pickiest when it comes to vanilla integration, or making the mod really mesh well with the game. But through planning with a team that feels so natural to work with, I can pitch even some of the out there ideas that give environments a personality of their own. Having just happened upon the mod way back when, with the intention of refining unpolished aspects even then, I've definitely come a long way. Here's to many more grumpy shouts about missing banners and gores. Another artist I'd love to highlight is Sabi. Sabi joined in March of 2021, and here's what they have to say. Back in 2021, I remember joining the dev server of the mod thanks to an enemy sprite I made for fun based on the Spirit Classic Starjinx. Everyone quite liked it, and I already knew some people on the dev team, so I quickly got boarded in. Despite that, I would only really begin to contribute and make meaningful stuff when the Reforged shift took place. Since then, my main job has been making all kinds of tiles and furniture sets for the mod, with some items and armor sets sprinkled in between. All in all, the Reforged dev team is quite like nothing else, and it is a massive joy to work in a place where everyone is pretty much on the same wavelength, with the focused goal of making the best we can ever make. And as for their favorite contribution, they say, out of all the stuff I did, one of the new furniture sets coming in the next update definitely takes the crown as my favorite addition. It took a bunch of iterating and quite a lot of time to get it done right, as I made it in a span of around 2 to 3 months. In the end, I like to think it resulted in one of the most unique looking and novel furniture sets in any mod. Thank you so much for everything you do, Sabi. Our next quote comes from Enewyn, who's a designer that joined in May of 2020. This is her favorite contribution. Cloudstock. I think it's a really fun addition that slots seamlessly into the rest of Terraria, including all the little details like where it grows, the blooming condition, the planter boxes and hanging pots, etc. I think adding some extra content to all areas of the game, even the ones you don't really think about, is what we do best. And here's her quote. Terraria is a game that I have been playing on and off to some capacity since I was about 11, first playing it on my brother's decrepit old PC with a CRT monitor. In the few modded playthroughs I did, I had Spirit installed, so it was always in my periphery, and when I realized that several of my friends were involved with the mod, I managed to sneak my way into the dev team. I started off mainly as a spriter, having gotten my start working on some stuff for Jujutsu's various weathers mod. But with time, I've taken on the role of designer, including everything from the aforementioned Cloudstock to weapons, armor, accessories, tools, etc. And I can't wait for you all to see what we have in store for you in future updates. Here's to another 10 years. Our next quotes come from Vin, who joined in 2023. They're an amazing artist, and these are their favorite contributions. I do a little bit here and there, and mostly in the background, doing design work, sometimes working on promotional stuff, but I really love the NPC portraits that I've been making for Terraria. Ever since that one spoiler from ages ago. Yeah, that was me. Before the portraits of 1.4.5 by the official team. I just really love world building and games as a whole being a medium for people to get to know these worlds and indulge in them. And I try to squeeze myself in between teams that really make an effort to make that happen, like Starlight River and currently Spirit Mod, both classic and reforged, with their immense care and attention to detail that ensures you are having the best experience and immersion when enjoying whatever we put out. You can really say that they have that team spirit. Our next quote comes from QuestionMark, who's the primary programmer on Spirit Reforged. They joined in April of 2021 and say their favorite contribution is the railgun, its functionality, and its animations. Here's their quote. I was lucky to join the team as an artist, and now I do most of the programming work for the mod. I like implementing fine details that most people won't even notice. I can't thank QuestionMark enough for all of the amazing work they do on the mod. From the smallest things to the biggest set pieces of the mod, it's likely that QuestionMark has had a hand in them. Thank you so much for bringing our creative vision to life, QuestionMark.
Hi, I'm Lunatix. I wanted to be special and read out my quote myself. I'm the resident animator. Chances are if it's animated, especially in Reforged, it was probably done by me. My favorite contribution is probably the Aurora Stag in Classic. It was one of the first times I'd actually tried spriting for the project, and it was pretty hard to do because this was back in 2022 and I wasn't really as good as I am today, but I still think bits of that work hold up. My second favorite contribution is definitely Scarabius from Reforged. I'm too lucky to know these people. I wonder if I would even be nearly as passionate and picky about art if it weren't for Team Spirit. I know at this point in the video that you've heard a lot of gushing about the team. You're gonna hear more if I'm not the last quote, and I can only hope that you feel that tenderness through all the big and little things we add to our projects. Thank you for playing with our content, and thank you Cloud for getting me into the team in the first place. Here's to 10 more years. We're probably gonna need it.
Thanks so much, Lunatix. Next up, I'd like to highlight IbanPlay, who you may know from our closest partner, Calamity Fables. Iban is a jack of all trades, and they're also a developer here on Team Spirit. They joined in August of 2020, and they say their favorite contributions are as follows. The best thing I did for Spirit R is VFX for the upcoming update. It's so incredibly pretty. The shader effect for the mod's logo is up there as well. It was fun to make and looks great. I've also been doing concept art for some important stuff in Reforged, like the Savannah and Scarabius' new design. I'm pretty awesome. Thank you to the other team members for trusting me with them. I was technically a Spirit developer as early as 2020 due to the mod merging with Whirling Worlds, but I hardly did anything for it until Reforged happened. Thanks to Reforged, I got to crunch super hard to release Fables in sync with Spirit Reforged, and that was lots of fun and a very memorable Tmod history event. I've had to deal with many bad dev environments in the past, but it's been super refreshing to work with Team Spirit. I hope every developer across the world can one day find a Team Spirit they belong into. Thanks so much for everything you do, Iban. Next up, I want to hear from our quality assurance team. Aside from making sure that the mod is as perfect as it can be before getting to your hands, our QA team also double as designers. First, let's hear from DakotaSpine, who's an amazing tester that's been with us since 2021.
Terraria is a game I've played for like 12 years now. I've always been fascinated by it. And learning how to play the game with mods changed how I engage with that game pretty much forever. The different ways they could change the game has always been really cool to me. And among the most interesting has always been Spirit for me. And it feels very special that even today I can keep saying that Spirit is still way up there because the team is still making new things happen with it. Spirit is still growing as a mod, as a project. It's so cool. And every day new things are happening too. This team is just full of incredibly passionate, talented people, and it's really a pleasure to see it all happen. I really think Spirit Reforged could not be in better hands.
Next up, let's hear from JakeItEasy, who joined in November of 2022. Here's what he has to say. My favorite addition was the glyph rework, which was wonderfully implemented by QuestionMark. I hope to see it return even better in Reforged. Spirit was the first Terraria mod I ever encountered. I rediscovered the mod sometime in 2022 and flooded the suggestions channels with balance changes as I played. That somehow landed me in the dev server with many wonderful people as a tester. But right after, Yutsu vanished, and the mod felt directionless for a time. My main focus then was refining the mod, testing, rebalancing, and bringing features up to par with vanilla. I had tons of fun working on that, and I think the team's collective efforts to make Classic a good experience really paid off in the 1.4.4 and 1.5 updates. I was part of the initial discussions about restarting the mod back then too. I resisted the idea a lot, but I'm so happy to see how it all turned out. I love this mod and this people. Here's to Spirit Mod 1000 years. Our next quote comes from pkpseudo, who joined in March of 2021. Here's what they have to say. I've been able to conceptualize a few items, like the Opal Frog and Sanguine Flare, but a design I still hold strongly to was the design concept I drew up for a reworked Bloodgazer boss. While it won't be making an appearance in Reforged, it was a lot of fun to come up with what is essentially an evolution of a Blood Moon mini-boss to Major Boss. I don't think I would have made it here today if I hadn't sent in a beta tester application for Spirit half a decade ago. Spirit was essentially my first true mold-breaking moment. It's what pushed me to come out of my shell and not be so stuck in the background of communities and groups. It's proof that I was and still do have a voice and a will to create. And while I'm not as prevalent in modding Terraria as I was back then, I still hold this game, this mod, and this community near and dear to my heart. That was really lovely to hear. With that, we're almost wrapped up. I just have 2 very important people to shout out. I want to give a huge shout out to zoroarkcity, Spirit's second oldest developer. Zoro is a programmer that's been working on the mod for almost all 10 of its years. Zoro was here before the mod even released, and was doing bug fixes when there were mostly just bugs to fix. Zoro's responsible for the old Scarabeus, parts of the new Scarabeus, clubs, the Star Jinx event, and so much more. Zoro's been here for every iteration of Spirit, and Spirit wouldn't be here without him. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, Zoro. We really appreciate all of your hard work. Now, I'm gonna kick it to Spirit's third oldest developer, Saul, to close us out with some words.
Thank you, you. Hey kids, Sal here. I'm the art guy. I do a little bit of this and that, but I suppose my main shtick would be bosses and backgrounds. Though, I also love making weapons and items and ideas guying. I love ideas guying. I'd been a fan of the mod as far back as 2016, and now I get to work on it. I remember when I first joined, we were still finding our footing as a team, and we're pretty uneasy about things like deadlines, or creative back and forths, or letting your work get touched up by others. And we went from that to, as Battle B put it, spending an entire afternoon arguing about which shade of blue a boss should be, or spending weeks on the design of an armor. But that's also why, when we do inevitably come to an agreement, we can all safely say we made the best thing we could have. And that's a good feeling. Team Spirit, in my eyes, is one of those rare miracles where the perfect group of ambitious and thoughtful people, all with a shared passion, come together at the right time to make something truly special. That's what makes modding with these guys such a joy, and why I feel grateful to be a part of this team. Here's to a pleasant 10,000 years for Team Spirit, everyone.
So that's that. As you can see, Team Spirit is a large team with even larger ambitions. I know we've spent the last 20 minutes patting ourselves on the back, but I hope you can see how proud and excited we are to continue bringing your world to life. We can't wait to continue working on Spirit for another decade to come. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you again for your support. I've been sprinkling spoilers all throughout this video, but please look forward to official news about our upcoming update, Sunscorched, very soon. Have a great day.